Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Kate McGarvey. I am our grade 5 lead in the elementary mathematics office, and I'm going to take us through the first topic for this grade 5 2020 curriculum. So first things first, you can see here that I just have ClassLink up to get to our new resources that we're going to be using for our virtual instruction. We're going to go to Blackboard. Once we get into Blackboard, we're going to go, and I have all the grades, you might not, no big deal. We're going to go to 5th grade curriculum. Once we're in the 5th grade curriculum, you're going to see right now it's hidden, but this won't be hidden for long. You will see those scope and sequences. So you're just going to go ahead and click on that math scope and sequence. And that is going to open up this grade 5 math scope and sequence recovery plan for the 2020-2021 school year. Following that, I just want to point out in Blackboard, we start with Theme 1, Unit 1. Theme 1, Unit 1 will not be taught during this virtual learning experience. The reason that this will not be taught is, as you know, for those of you who have taught that unit, it is all hands-on. It is all about physically manipulating unit cubes. It's all about gaining that conceptual understanding of volume. We have made the decision to skip this unit and save it for when we come back to brick and mortar. So we will eventually teach volume, it just won't be yet. That being said, we're going to start with what traditionally is Theme 1, Unit 2 in Blackboard, which is multiplication and division of whole numbers. As you can see, this was not affected by school closure last year. So students should be able to hit the ground running with multiplication and division of whole numbers. Couple things to point out specific to this topic is that we are encouraging you to only introduce the standard algorithm of multiplication if students have a firm understanding of the area model. First of all, the standard algorithm of multiplication is an end of year expectation. It is also perfectly okay if students go into middle school with the area model. Middle school encourages the area model. The area model works through algebra. The area model works well for multiplication and division. It's going to work well when we multiply fractions. It's going to work well when we multiply decimals and divide with decimals. So we highly encourage stressing the area model here. Do not fret over the standard algorithm. And you'll see in a lot of our lessons, there are multiple options for strategies that students can use. Also thinking about the fluency expectation unique to this year is we are eliminating problems where either factor has more than 3 digits. So both of our factors are going to be 3 digits or less. Just something to keep in mind. Everything that we've put in our essential tasks, that is true. If you utilize Blackboard or you utilize extra resources in Ready Common Core, just kind of keep that in mind for this 2020-2021 school year. So that all being said, let's dive into our first topic. I've actually opened up, as you can kind of see here up at the top, I've opened up each of these slide decks already. When you open them, they're going to force you to make a copy, just like we saw for that week 1 video. But just for the sake of time, I've already opened them up for us. So there are 9 different essential tasks. And you'll notice that each of these tasks, there's those recommended days, right? So it might take 1 to 2 days for each task. The first 5 essential tasks are for multiplication. 6 through 9 are for division. So let's just kind of jump in here. This is going to be our essential task 1. You'll notice each slide deck is going to start with this opening slide, with that title slide that's going to have that I can statement here for you. It will also have the standard down here at the bottom. The second slide in all of these slide decks is going to be just kind of like a classroom resources place. So feel free to use your own, feel free to delete this one, Feel free to make it however you want, or feel free to just use what's there. So just kind of an idea of what students can use. All of these manipulatives are linked out to either math apps or to Didax. We'll also notice in some of these lessons, we'll have anchor charts up here that deals with the content. We encourage you to start your mathematics class having students being prepared. So whether that's paper, pencil, communicator, dry erase markers, whatever they're going to need, so they're not getting up in the middle of the lesson and kind of rummaging and trying to find things. We highly encourage that. So this first lesson is a 3-act task. So for this 3-act task, you'll notice each of these different acts. This is the same task that you'll see in Blackboard. So they're just gonna watch these videos really quickly for slides 4 and 5. You could either share these slides with students, or you can use this 3-act task recording sheet and share that with students so they can show their thinking. You'll notice here there's some instructional notes. So put slides in present mode until you need to stop presenting. That's kind of unique to this lesson because these pictures are going to be timed. They're not going to all come up at one time. You'll notice also on each of these slides, there's different labels in the top corners. So for example, this try it out, these are going to be our interactive slides. These are those slides that we want students to interact with, students to show their ideas. You'll see slides with listen and learn, and those are going to be slides where the teacher's primarily giving the information. You might be asking some guiding questions and input and things like that, but these are a little bit more teacher heavy. You'll also notice these slides called share and make a connection. So this is when we're going to want to select some student work to share, and we're going to compare it side by side and make connections. So for example, this is a multiplication problem. You might have some students who made an array model and some students who made an area model. So I could put a picture of an array model and put a picture of a student's area model, and we could talk about how are they similar, how are they different. The other idea would be to pull up student work on their Google slide and just show that instead of taking pictures and putting them next to each other. That's an instructional decision. Lastly, you'll notice these, it says practice on your own slides. These slides are intended for students to work on their own independently. So these are all videos for Ready Common Core, those interactive videos. You'll also see suggestions here for student in the Ready Common Core student instruction book as well. So kind of just choosing, these are just suggestions, feel free to change it. For example, this is select a prerequisite video. So pick one video, interactive video tutorial for students to do. So that's the first one. You'll notice that just kind of going through multiplication, this is going to get a little tricky because it really depends on what students have mastered from 4th grade. So what strategies are students successful with? What strategies are students coming with? So this is really, this second essential task is really focusing on making that connection between the array model and the area model. So if we still have students using these base 10 blocks, these place value blocks, how can we get them to move into this area model? So for example, for this one, I would take a picture of a student's work. I could share, have students complete this slide. I could share it with them. They're going to build their answer, show their work, and then I could take a picture or an image and I could have students compare what that array model was and how is that similar to this area model. You'll notice that this is color coded, so hopefully that comparison will be a little bit easier for them. Continuing to look at our multiplication strategies, we see some more connections between the array model and the area model, really trying to get that down. So you'll notice here it says allow students to use this slide or slide 5. So this would be a time that students could select what slide worked best for them. So if they need to use the array model, they could. If they need to use the area model, they could. Starting here, we also see that connection between the area model, and partial products. So how are they similar? How are they different? You'll see there are Learnzillion videos linked if you need them. So for this one, if you would need to show that video to your students, please feel free. If you or your students could explain it just as well, even better. Essential task 4, we're still going to continue with the area model. This has greater digits. So this is a 3x2 versus the 2x2s that we are looking at before. So just kind of building up. And once again, we're going to make that connection between partial products and the area model. Lastly, we're looking at 5. This is where I just want to stress, do not use a standard algorithm if students have not mastered the area model. So you'll notice this slide, this triad activity, students are comparing 2 different strategies. I want to really encourage you to pick the strategies that are the most appropriate for your students. You're not showing all the slides, you're picking between 4, 5, and 6. So what makes the most sense for your students and what strategies are they successful using? From multiplication, we're going to head into division. That starts in essential task 6. And we're really going to be making that connection between multiplication and division. So how are they related? How can we use the same strategies? So starting, here's a multiplication problem. We're going to build that array model. And we're going to talk about what's that fact family that matches that array model. How does it show division? How does it show multiplication? And then we're going to take that thinking and we're going to solve a division problem using multiplication. So you're going to complete this fact family with your students. Double click to type inside these green boxes. It says down those directions down here as well. We're going to use this specific multiplication fact to create our array. And we're going to keep dragging and dropping those equal groups until we reach 525. So how many groups will we need? From there, we're going to kind of lean into continuing to practice that idea. Do we need an array model? Do we need an area model? What model are we the most successful using? These numbers are larger or greater than the numbers from the previous day. So just kind of something to keep in mind. Really using what your students need to use. This is just another day of practice using array model, area model. Essential task 9, you'll also have partial quotients thrown in, thinking about how is it similar to an area model, how is it different than an area model. So that is this first topic in a nutshell. Hopefully you found this to be helpful. Really take some time, get to know your students. Don't rush this time. I think starting with multiplication and division with whole numbers, hopefully this is something that students are coming to you with some skills, some strategies. Hopefully we can build their confidence in this online virtual learning environment. So hopefully this was not too much information. Hopefully you found this helpful. Please let us know if you have any questions. And thank you so much for your time.